Here's an attitude we need to change, is that God wins with little. God doesn't need anything at all, and he likes to show off his strength. And so he wins this battle against the Midianites by using Gideon. And he does it with 300 men. Now, these 300 men were devoted, as we'll see. They were committed to God. By implication would be Christ as well, but we know Jesus has not been born yet. But they are committed to Christ, and they are alert men, and they are not afraid. It's in contrast to Gideon, who again we see is fearful. So let's jump into our text, chapter 7, verse 1, where we see that Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, remember that he got that name because he overthrew Baal. And all the people who were with him rose early and encamped beside the spring of Harod. And then the camp of Midian was north of them. And so the Lord then said to Gideon, the people with you are too many. You got too many people. I don't want Israel to boast over me, saying my own hand did it, because we've seen that Israel has been so dependent upon themselves. So he's saying, I want you to tell everybody in the army, whoever is fearful, whoever is trembling, let him return home. So when Gideon gave that opportunity for anybody to go home, 22,000 people went home. So Gideon went from 32,000 to 10,000 soldiers. He lost quite a bit. But then the Lord says something fascinating to Gideon. He says, the people are still too many. You got too many. 10,000 people. Israel is still going to take credit for their own victory. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go down to the water, and I want you to test them. And I want you to spread them out however I tell you to go. And he says, when they go down to the water, everyone who laps the water with his tongue as a dog laps, you shall set by himself. So probably, if we study the rest of this whole section, more than likely, what we're seeing is that these people that lapped water with his tongue as a dog laps is going to be standing. It's contrasting the others who kneel down to drink. So the ones that are lapping with their tongue is not getting down on their knees. They're taking their hands, they're bending over, they're getting the water up, and they're drinking it like this, being alert, making sure nothing happens. The ones that kneel down to drink are those that are getting down on their knees and are drinking, and they're not paying attention what's going on. And the number of those who lapped, those who are standing, gets down, gets the water in their hands, comes up, and then they lap it up with their mouth, or with their hands up to their mouth. There was 300 people that did that. The other 9,700 people, they got down on their knees and were not paying attention. So then the Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men who lapped, I will save you, and give the Midianites into your hand, and let all the others go, every man to his home. So we see that the 300 men that Gideon uses, that the Lord chooses to use, are alert, they are aware of what's going on, and they are not afraid. So then, verse 8, the people took provisions in their hands. So what we need to picture here, they've not left yet for the battlefield. We need to envision Gideon giving each person a jar full of provisions, because this jar is going to pop up later in the battle. And so he's already thinking, okay, we're probably going to have to there has to be some sort of surprise attack, because there's a lot more Midianites than us, and God has just reduced our military to 300 people. So they have a jar full of bread and the provisions that they need, and then they have a trumpet in their hand. And then he sent all the rest of Israel to their tent, and he goes away with the 300 men. But that night, the Lord talks to Gideon and realizes that Gideon is probably afraid, or the Lord knows for sure he's afraid. And so the Lord tells him, go down against the camp, for I have given it into your hand. But if you're afraid, I want you to go down with your servant at nighttime, and what you will hear is going to encourage you. It's going to make you strong. So Gideon went down with his servant because he was afraid. The Lord knew it. Isn't that interesting? Gideon said, if you're afraid, go away. Maybe he should have at the beginning went away himself, but we still have this fearful commander in charge. But Gideon faces his fears. So he goes down and he hears a man telling his friend about a dream that he had. And notice the Midianites were in the valley like locusts in abundance, and their camels were without number, as the sand is on the seashore in abundance. So there's a lot of Midianites. But as Gideon goes down, he hears a man talking to his friend about a dream he had. He said, I had a dream. It's a very odd dream. I had a dream that a cake of barley bread came into the camp of Midian and it knocked over our tent and caused it to go flat. And then the friend's friend, or the Midianite's friend, said, well, this is obviously the sword of Gideon. How that's obviously the sword of Gideon, I have no idea. But Gideon heard this dream and he heard this response, and he was encouraged. He was encouraged, goes back, and then he will begin his battle. Remember, God uses he loves to do things with little. He loves to multiply himself so that he receives the strength, or he receives all the glory and the honor, rather than us receiving the glory and honor for the things that he gets done. Pray that's been a blessing to you, and I'll see you in the next video.